It's time for another ARC book review, and this time it is Gunpowder by Asa Violet. So in Gunpowder, we follow Blair and Ren. Blair is part of a gang. He kind of deals with like the arms dealing. He's also the enforcer of the gang. And then Ren is a med student. So they end up meeting after Blair gets shot in the leg during kind of a shootout between his gang and a rival gang. Ren does not have a good bedside manner. Blair talks about this constantly in the book that Ren could use some good bedside manner. So very much a kind of a grumpy sunshine, a little bit of some opposites attract with these two. But basically they meet that first night, that first few days after Blair is shot. They think they're never going to see each other again, but obviously fate has a different idea. So throughout this book, the biggest background plot piece to this is that Blair's gang, Insidious, is in kind of like a gang war with a rival gang called Phantom. Now, Phantom are high tech, they're hackers, they kind of know what they're doing. And Insidious is very much like a very big family type feel to it while still having a gang mentality. Blair is not your typical gang member. While he is kind of the enforcer of this gang, he really doesn't like hurting people. He doesn't like killing people. This is something Ren kind of brings up quite a bit of his questioning of why Blair is even in this gang. So, there's a lot of this kind of like struggle of, I want to be in this. It's part of my family. They're my group. They're my unit. But also some of the things I have to do, it just don't sit really well with me. Now, Ren has a bit of a mysterious background. All we know is that there's like something with his dad. It really impacts him. I will say most of this book, like 90% of this book, is written from Blair's perspective. You get a few little perspectives into Ren, and they're important perspectives. So like I said, you don't really know much about Ren in the beginning of the book. You slowly develop and learn more about him and his past and what's going on and kind of why he like doesn't show emotion and is very hard to kind of feel out a lot of times in the book. I'm not gonna lie, I in the beginning wasn't really the biggest fan of Ren. I thought he was kind of an ass, but as the book goes on and you learn more about him and his past and why he is the way he is, you really start to fall in love with him. Now, obviously, like I said, there's this big background of this gang war that's going on. There's a lot of like pieces and parts to that. There is a lot of violence in this book, a lot of, retaliation. So just go into that knowing that there are some on screen, like medical kind of performance, like things that are performed, like surgeries and things like that. So just going to go in knowing that there is going to be quite a bit of violence. There's also going to be a lot of twists and turns. Now, I will say, I knew there was going to be a betrayal in this book. And I like kept waiting for it. Like I kind of kept going. I'm like, okay, I think it might be you or it might be you. I have to give Asa Violet so much credit because I probably went through at least like 5 or 6 people of who I thought was going to be like the one to betray them all. And it wasn't until maybe like 2 chapters before the betrayal happened that I figured out who it was. So she does a really good job of kind of making you question every single person in this book of their loyalty and whether or not they're telling the truth to everybody else. So there is spice in this book. So once Ren and Blair, they've met up a couple times and they kind of decide we're going to start something here, the spice, it goes. I think it was really, really well written. I enjoyed every scene of it. So Ren is much more experienced. He's been with other people before. Blair is not. Blair is a virgin when this book starts. He is not when this book ends. But I loved how it was written, how, Ren never made a big deal about Blair being, a virgin. There is a moment before they first start like having actual penetrative sex where, Blair kind of makes it like known like I am, and he just assumed Ren knew. So Ren does kind of pause for a moment, but it's more just, realizing that the way he was going to go about their first sexual encounter was going to have to kind of be redone, from the standpoint of someone who's never done anything before. But I loved how like, calm and sweet and, caring he was to Blair throughout the entire process. So yeah, there's plenty of spice. It's so well written. It's wonderful and it's beautiful. So now this is Asa Violet's debut novel, and I'm going to say for a debut author, this blew me out of the water. I was not kind of really in the mood for kind of like a gang kind of like book when I first went into it, which I'm a really big mood reader, so sometimes that can impact the way that I look and read books, but this like pulled me in from the beginning. Like I could not stop reading it. The wit, the banner, just the found family that you have in the gang, the way that Ren and Blair's relationship just kind of unfolds, it's all perfect and you literally cannot stop reading. Like every time I kept being like, okay, I gotta go to bed. This is gonna be the last chapter. I would get to the end of that chapter and be like, okay, one more chapter and then I will go to bed. So this is the type of book where just be aware you're probably gonna stay up really late to finish it. Now, Gunpowder does come out tomorrow, July 12th. So it is available on Kindle. I don't believe there is a paperback version of it right now, and it is not on Kindle Unlimited. But I still think you should definitely read this, and it should definitely be a book that you add to your TBR.